Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are in TryHackMe, SOC Level 1 Learning Path. This is the Malware Concepts for SOC module, Malware Classification Room. Learn how to identify, classify, and understand common types of malware. Task number 1, Introduction. The malware refers to software code created to damage systems, steal information, or allow unauthorized access. It appears in many forms, each with different tactics and goals. Malware can affect businesses in many ways, from financial loss and stolen data to disrupted services and reputational damage. Knowing how malware works is one of the first steps in defending against it. SOC analysts are responsible for spotting and responding to suspicious activity. They review security alerts and decide what action to take based on the type of threat involved. Classifying malware correctly helps determine the correct response, such as isolating infected machines or investigating detect or data theft. This room introduces the most common malware categories, explains how to tell them apart, and includes real-world examples to support learning. We'll cover key categories of malware, real-world examples, and the differences between binary and script-based threats. Learning objectives: learn to classify common malware types based on their behavior and purpose, understand how real-world malware operates, identify differences between executable and script-based malware, practice classifying malware types. Prerequisites: malware introductory, intro to malware analysis. So check out my channel for anything related to those areas or videos. Click to continue about or learning about malware types. So as always, if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 2, malware types. Knowing the main types of malware and how they behave helps analysts spot threats quickly. Malware is not just a single thing. It comes in different categories, each with a specific purpose and attack method. By learning to identify these, teams can better respond to incidents and keep their environment safer. Malware categories. Below is a table summarizing the most common malware categories, their main purpose, typical behavior, and a real-world example for each. Some practical scenario-based examples follow this to show how these types of malware appear in everyday incidents. So let's take a look at this table here. We have category, main purpose, typical behavior, and real-world example. Adware: display unwanted advertisements. Display unwanted advertisements. Example: firewall. Spyware: collect information secretly, tracks browsing, records keystrokes, capture data. Hermit: ransomware: extort money by locking files or systems, encrypts data, displays ransom note. WannaCry: wiper: destroy data or systems, overwrites or deletes files permanently. Path wiper. C2, which is command and control, enabled remote control by an attacker, connects to a remote server, receives commands. Emotet: data stealer, steals sensitive information, exfiltrates files, credentials, or documents. Luma stealer. Keylogger: record keystrokes, captures everything typed on the keyboard. Zeus: cryptominer: use resources to mine cryptocurrency, high CPU usage, slow systems, network traffic. CoinHive: scenario-based examples. Below are some simple scenarios that show how this type of malware might appear within an organization. Adware: a user's browser starts showing pop-up ads every few minutes, even when no websites are open. Security tools identify a suspicious program running in the background, which turns out to be adware. Very, very annoying. Very, very annoying. Spyware: an employee notices their personal emails have been accessed by someone else. Forensics show a spyware program on the workstation which was recording keystrokes and sending the information to an attacker. Ransomware: several computers display a ransom note saying that all files have been encrypted and payment is required to unlock them. The SOC traces the incident to a ransomware attack triggered by a malicious email attachment. Wiper: an organization's servers suddenly crash and files overwritten with random data. Investigation reveals wiper malware designed to destroy data rather than demand a ransom. Command and control malware: an endpoint is found reaching out to unfamiliar domains at odd hours. Analysts discover C2 malware that gives attackers remote access, allowing them to run commands or move files. Data stealer: sensitive documents start leaking online. The incident response team finds the data stealer malware that collected files from user directories and sent them to an external server. Keylogger: user report unauthorized transfers from company bank accounts. Analysis shows the keylogger running on the accountant's computer, recording every keystroke, including passwords. Cryptominer: several desktops become slow and fans are running constantly. Monitoring tools reveal high CPU usage linked to a cryptominer that hijacks the computers to mine cryptocurrency. So we have some questions here. Let's see if we can answer them. An employee reports that their system is slow and monitoring shows constant high CPU usage. What type of malware is this most likely responsible? Okay, well, this sounds like a crypto miner to me, using up a lot of those resources on that target machine or victim machine. So let's go with that. Users suddenly lose access to their files and a message appears demanding cryptocurrency exchange for unlocking data. Which malware fits this situation? That sounds like ransomware to me, locking up files, and then they have that ransom note, right, as noted up there. So we'll plug that in. Next one, a user's browser opens pop-up windows even when no site is loaded. No data appears to be stolen or encrypted. What kind of malware is this most likely? It sounds like adware. It's very, very annoying, a nuisance if you have had to experience adware before. Sometimes these free apps will have adware bundled into them as well. Sensitive internal documents are found posted online. Analysis shows the data came from a workstation that had a malicious program. Which malware type does this represent? So they're talking about sensitive documents leaked online. This sounds like a data stealer, so we're going to go with that here. Okay, and then that's it for that one. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Task 3, real-world malware examples. Malware is not just a concept found in textbooks. Security teams deal with malware categories like spyware, ransomware, wipers, data stealers, keyloggers, and remote access trojans, rats, in real incidents. Seeing how each type appears in actual attacks helps contextualize the theory and make the patterns easier to remember. We often refer to malware that relates to or is similar to each other as part of the same malware family. Our family refers to a group of malicious programs that share the same origin or code base and behave similarly. Grouping malware like this helps security teams apply known defenses and improve detection and response. Below are short case studies for known malware and links to learn more. So we got spyware here. Case study Pegasus. Pegasus is one of the most well-known spyware tools used to target mobile phones worldwide. Attackers send a specially crafted message or exploit a vulnerability to install Pegasus silently. Once on a device, it collects text messages, location data, emails, a microphone, or camera recordings. Victims range from journalists and politicians to business leaders. MITRE ATT&CK TA0009 collection and TA0010 exfiltration. Ransomware. Case study Akira. Akira is a modern ransomware variant known for targeting businesses, schools, and public services. Attackers use phishing emails, stolen credentials, or remote access software to breach networks. Once inside, Akira spreads encrypts key files and displays a ransom note demanding cryptocurrency. This group is known for threatening to leak stolen data if the ransom is not paid. Microsoft attack TA0040 impact and TA0011 command and control. So here is looks like a snippet of an Akira ransom file. So you can just take a look at this real quick, and then it will continue on. But yeah, you can see the obvious ransom note there. For example, we can observe the ransom note that the Akira ransomware leaves once a host is compromised. Wiper. Case study Shamoon. Targeted energy companies in the Middle East, most famously Saudi Aramco. The malware rapidly overwrote files with useless data, making systems unusable. Entire networks went offline, and recovery took weeks. Shamoon showed that wipers can cause as much damage as ransomware, but without demanding payment. MITRE ATT&CK TA0040 impact. Data stealer. So you have Agent Tesla. Agent Tesla is commonly delivered by phishing emails with attachments. Once opened, it captures keystrokes, screenshots, and credentials from web browsers and email clients. The stolen data is sent to command and control servers controlled by the attacker. Agent Tesla has been used in thousands of global attacks and continues to evolve. Attack TA0010 exfiltration, and here's what that looks like apparently, or looks like some kind of forum, right? Fresh 355,472 store logs. You can see the rest there. So they're definitely trying to sell some stuff. All right. Above, we can observe an example from a forum where a threat actor has leaked data. Keylogger. Case study, Redline Stealer. Redline Stealer acts as both a data stealer and keylogger. It spreads through phishing or malicious websites, then captures keystrokes, browser cookies, and cryptocurrency wallet information. The data is then exfiltrated to the attacker's server. Redline is commonly used by cybercriminals or credential theft and fraud. For credential theft and fraud. MITRE ATT&CK, TA0006, credential access, and TA0010, exfiltration. C2 rat malware. Case study, QuackBot. Been around for a while. QuackBot, also known as QBot, has become one of the most active and dangerous malware families targeting organizations globally. Originally designed as a banking Trojan, QuackBot has evolved into a modular rat used by cybercriminal groups for initial access, credential theft, and as a loader for ransomware like Black Basta. QuackBot typically arrives through phishing emails with malicious attachments or links. Once inside a network, it establishes a connection to its command and control servers, enabling attackers to move laterally, steal data, or deploy additional malware. In 2023, QuackBot was responsible for several high-profile incidents, and law enforcement agencies have issued warnings about its continued activity. MITRE ATT&CK, TA0011, command and control, and TA0002, execution, TA0006, credential access. Okay, so we have some more questions down here so that we can take a look at real quick. A phishing campaign delivers malware that logs keystrokes, collects screenshots, and sends browser credentials to an external server. Which malware family does this most likely belong to? And this is going to be Agent Tesla. So they are looking for the actual name of the malware family, not the category. So make sure to take that into consideration as you go through these questions. An attacker sends a zero-click exploit that silently installs spyware to monitor calls, messages, and device location on a mobile phone. What known malware can this be? That's going to be Pegasus, as we talked about up here with spyware, right? Yeah, spyware. And then you can also see the other ones listed there as well. Next one, which ransomware family is known for stealing data and threatening to leak it if payment is not made? That's going to be Akira. Which malware targeted energy companies by overwriting files with junk data? That's going to be Shamoon. It had targeted those Middle Eastern companies, Saudi Aramco, right? Task 4, binary versus script malware. Malware can arrive in different forms. Two of the most common categories are binary malware, compiled executables, and script-based malware written in scripting languages. Understanding the difference helps SOC analysts make better decisions when reviewing alerts or suspicious files. While script-based malware has become popular for its flexibility and ease of modification, executables remain widely used by attackers. They can offer more stability, support complex payloads, and are still effective in environments where security tools are misconfigured or outdated. Both types continue to be seen in real-world intrusions. Binary malware, executable-based malware, is typically delivered as compiled, such as .xe's, which is window executables, or DLL's, dynamic link library. These files are created from source code and need to be run on a compiled or compatible operating system. Common delivery methods for binaries include email attachments, for example, invoice.pdf.exe, malicious downloads and removable media, or as part of another infection. Sometimes attackers disguise executables by using misleading icons or hiding the real file extension. A way to identify an executable is through a checksum. Since executables, once compiled and redistributed, do not change. For example, we can calculate the MD5 sum of a file and identify the malware regardless of any name or extension change. Each binary may contain hard-coded strings or byte sequences that can serve as unique identifiers. These are commonly used by antivirus and detection engines. Script-based malware relies on scripts written in languages such as JavaScript.js, Visual Basic Script.vbs, Windows Batch.bat, or PowerShell.ps1. Scripts can be easier for attackers to change and adapt. They often arrive as email attachments within Office documents containing macros or through malicious websites. For example, a user might open an email attachment called report.docm, which contains a macro that runs a hidden PowerShell script. Scripts are also popular for initial access, allowing an attacker to run code directly in memory without writing files to disk. There are some clear warning signs that a script may be acting maliciously. script downloads or runs other files from the internet. It makes changes to system settings or disables security tools. It runs commands that are not usually part of standard operation, especially with encoded or obfuscated content. The script unexpectedly launches other applications such as PowerShell or CMD. For example, below we can find an example of an unobfuscated script, a BAT script-based malware. So they have see echo off, PowerShell command, invoke request, go into malicious site, .payload, output file, payload.exe, start, users public, payload.exe. The script above downloads a malware executable and runs it on the victim's machine. Similarly, we can find a similar example to this one in PowerShell. So let's take a look at this one in PowerShell. PowerShell dash NOP dash W hidden dash C IEX download string malicious .site payload.ps1. The above runs a script from a remote server, often without leaving files behind. Script-based example. Let's now observe an obfuscated row malware. In this case, this example corresponds with Luma Stiller, a popular Stiller coded in C that is being used as MAS, malware as a service. And this example is from August 2025, and it's a sample used to deliver the malware. As we can observe, there's a lot of data. If we scroll down, a function is declared, which is this here, and then a huge variable full of data named this here. So they have it, as you can see, they have it identified here. Okay. Finally, we can observe that in the end, the data is base64 decrypted and executed in memory using a .NET assembly to execute in memory and not disk, as shown below, right there. All right. While the above is an easy to follow example, more obfuscated script-based malware is very common, and there's a wide variety of these threats. This shows us how threat actors may try to deliver and obfuscate malware within an organization. Okay, so we have more questions here. Let's take a look at them real quick. What command line tool is frequently used by script-based malware to download payloads? And I think that's going to be PowerShell. So we're looking for here, if I can spell. Which file extension is commonly associated with malware in Windows executables other than .exe? And this one's going to be .bat. Okay, and next one, which malware type is more likely to leave identifiable byte patterns used by antivirus software? And they talked about binary for that one. Next one, task number 6, practical. It's time to put our knowledge to the test. As a SOC analyst, let's review some alerts and your dashboard and apply what has been learned. Click on the View Site button attached to this task to display the static site and split view. Review each alert and select the correct malware classification to retrieve the flag. Alternatively, if you cannot see all columns in split view, you can open the static site in full screen by clicking the link below. Nice. So let's see if we can actually see everything, or if we need to do that. It looks like we can see everything. Yeah, pretty much. We just got to scroll over a little bit here. Okay, so we just got to get the flag here. So go ahead and pause the video. Let's try to find out the flag yourself, then come back to the video, and then we'll step through it together. Alright, I went ahead and opened this up in a different browser tab so that we can see everything. Let's take a look at this. Malware classification, classify alerts. We got the time, name, severity, malware type, and action. So the date, March 21st. At this time, let's take a look at this first one. Suspicious process adds service.exe spawned by user session, multiple outbound HTTP requests to advertise domains detected, elevated browser pop-up activity, observed on host laptop 0021, medium severity. Well, this sounds like obviously adware, so I'm gonna go with that. Next one, unusual process system_update.exe, accessing clipboard data and reading local email files. Network traffic shows regular uploads of small data packets to external IP address. This .111 critical. Okay, so it's doing looks like multiple things here, and so this sounds like spyware. Let's go with that. Save. Next one, large volume of file modifications detected within shared directory. Server finance file extensions changed from .x to encrypted. Ransom note, text files discovered in multiple folders. Well, this is going to be ransomware, so we'll go with that here. Okay. Next one, critical process disk cleaner.exe executed with administrative privileges, but deletion and overriding of user files observed. System recovery points and backups are also erased within a short time frame. That sounds like wiper, so we're going to go with that here. Next one, outbound connection initiated by service host 32.exe to previously unseen external host on port 443. Periodic beaconing detected every 30 minutes. No associated legitimate application found here. So that sounds like it's going out to like a C2 server or something like that. So let's see if that's one of our options here. There we go. Command and control malware. So let's go with that. Next one here, user process docu_manager.exe access multiple sensitive files and see users public documents and attempted to send large data upload to server.202. Okay, so it's sending out data. So it sounds like it's still in it, right? Sounds like a data stealer to me. So we'll go with that. Next one, suspicious DLL injection detected in Windows logon or winlogon.exe process, unauthorized API calls to keyboard input functions along with repeated attempts to connect to remote IP.33. So it's targeting keyboard input functions. Sounds like a keylogger to me. So let's go with that and see if that's what they're looking for here. Yeah, so keylogger. And then let's see this last one here. High CPU usage detected on host desktop 07A2. Process SVC update.exe utilizing over 80% CPU for extended period. Multiple connections to known mining domains identified. That sounds like a crypto miner to me. So let's go with that one for our last one and we should be done. There we go. Awesome. Got that. And then let's plug it in as our answer. And then let's go to task number 6, conclusion. Malware continues to be one of the most frequent threats defenders face, and understanding how to classify it helps improve detection and response. Throughout this room, different types of malware were introduced, including how they behave and appear in real-world incidents, and how security teams can identify and categorize them. Users learn to distinguish them between malware families such as spyware, ransomware wipers, and keyloggers, and reviewed real case studies to help build intuition. The differences between binary and script-based malware were also covered, along with common delivery methods and indicators of compromise. Key takeaways: learn how to identify and classify common types of malware. Understand how malware behaves and spreads in real-world incidents. Distinguish between binary and script-based malware formats. Apply classification skills using alert analysis in a simulated SOC environment. Click to finish your malware classification journey and complete this room. So we're done. Awesome. Hopefully y'all stayed tagged along to the end. I really appreciate y'all for taking the time to watch my video, and hopefully y'all learned something, right? But if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Happy hacking, happy defending, and stay safe in the cyber trenches. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are in TryHackMe. This is SOC Level 1 Learning Path. This is the Digital Forensics and Incident Response module. This is the Intro to Malware Analysis room. What to do when you run into a suspected malware. Hopefully, y'all are excited to learn something today. I know I am. And before we dive into it, if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 1, Introduction. Every once in a while, when you are working as a SOC analyst, you will come across content, a file or traffic, that seems suspicious, and you will have to decide whether that content is malicious. It is normal to feel confused with all the mixed signals such content provides. This becomes a little overwhelming for somebody just starting in cybersecurity, and it is common to begin questioning oneself. Knowing what steps to take to resolve such a scenario is helpful.
This room will lay out some steps to help you make the initial conclusion about a particular suspicious file. Learning objectives. Understand what malware is. Use common tools and resources to assist your investigations. Perform basic static and dynamic analysis. Set up a safe environment for analysis. Prerequisites. You got Windows internals and history of malware. Let's get started. Let's learn malware analysis. Okay. Task number 2, we're going to talk about malware analysis. Malware. The word malware is derived from the term malicious and software. Therefore, any software that has a malicious purpose can be considered malware. Malware is further classified into different categories based on its behavior. However, we will not investigate the details of those in this room. Here, we will ponder the steps we will take if we suspect that we have found malware in a machine. So let's get started. Right, so malware, malicious software, right? Malware is just an umbrella term for like viruses, Trojans, ransomwares, stuff like that, okay? The purpose behind malware analysis. Malware analysis is an important skill. As a quick overview, malware analysis is performed by the following people in the security industry. So we got security operations. Teams analyze malware to write detections for malicious activity in their networks. Incident response. Teams analyze malware to determine what damage has been done to an environment and to remediate and revert that damage. Threat hunt teams analyze malware to identify IOCs, which they use to hunt for malware in a network. Malware researchers and security product vendor teams analyze malware to add detections for it in their security products. Threat research teams and OS vendors like Microsoft and Google analyze malware to discover the vulnerabilities, exploit it, and add more security features to the OS/applications. Overall, it seems like many different people do malware analysis for many compelling reasons. So let's see how to start. So before we begin, malware can be as dangerous as a weapon if handled carelessly. Before starting any analysis, it's important to understand how to work safely. Always follow these precautions to protect your system and maintain a controlled environment during your research. Never analyze malware or suspected malware on a machine that does not have the sole purpose of analyzing malware. When not analyzing or moving malware samples around to different locations, always keep them in password protected zip/rar or other archives so that we can avoid accidental detonation. Only extract the malware from the password protected archive inside the isolated environment and only when analyzing it. Create an isolated VM specifically for malware analysis, which can be reverted to clean state once you are done. Ensure that all internet connections are closed or at least monitored. Once you are done with the malware analysis, revert the VM to its clean state for the next malware analysis session to avoid residue from a previous malware execution corrupting the next one. You can also use physical disk as well instead of just VMs. There's some malware out there that I think will not run if they detect that they're running into or running in like a sandbox or virtualized environment. So sometimes it's better to just run it off of like, bare metal hard disk drive on a different separate lab environment has a different, internet connection than your main one, that's it's totally isolated from your production environment. That way you can just easily clone um, or wipe that disk, and clone a new operating system on. You can just easily refresh it that way. But anyway, which team uses malware analysis to look for IOCs and hunt for malware in a network? Well, that sounds like the threat hunt teams do that. So let's plug that in as our answer. Number 3, techniques of malware analysis. Malware analysis is like solving a puzzle. Different tools and techniques are used to find pieces of this puzzle. And joining those pieces gives us the complete picture of what the malware is trying to do. Most of the time, you'll have an executable file, also called a binary or a PE file. PE stands for portable executable. A malicious document file or a network packet capture, short for or PCAP for short. The portable executable is the most prevalent type of malware analyzed while performing malware analysis. To find the different puzzle pieces, you'll often use various tools, tricks, and shortcuts. These techniques can be grouped into the following two categories: static analysis and dynamic analysis. So, static analysis, when malware is analyzed without being executed, it is called static analysis. In this case, the different priorities or properties of the PE file are analyzed without running it. Similarly, in case of a malicious document, exploring the document's properties without analyzing it will be considered static analysis. Examples of static analysis include checking for strings in malware, checking the PE header for information related to different sections, or looking at the code using a disassembler. We will look at some of these techniques later in this room. Malware often uses techniques to avoid static analysis. Some of these techniques use obfuscation, packing, and other means of hiding their properties. To circumvent these techniques, we often use dynamic analysis. Okay, so let's see what they're talking about here. Okay, dynamic analysis. Malware faces a dilemma it has to execute to fulfill its purpose, and no matter how much obfuscation is added to the code, it becomes an easy target for detection once it runs. A static analysis might provide us with crucial information regarding malware, but sometimes that is not enough. We might need to run the malware in a controlled environment to observe what it does in these cases. Malware can often hide its properties to thwart static analysis. Therefore, in most of these cases, dynamic analysis can prove fruitful. Dynamic analysis techniques include running the malware in a VM, either in a manual fashion with tools installed to monitor the malware's activity or in the form of sandboxes that perform this task automatically. We will learn about some of these techniques later in this room. Once we run the malware in a controlled environment, we can use our knowledge from the Windows Forensics rooms to identify what it did in our environment. The advantage here is that since we control the environment, we can configure it to avoid noise like activity from a legitimate user or Windows services. Thus, everything we observe in such an environment points to malware activity, making it easier to identify what the malware did in this scenario. Malware, however, often uses techniques to prevent an analyst from performing dynamic analysis. Since most dynamic analysis are performed in a controlled environment, most methods to bypass dynamic analysis include detecting the environment in which they are being run. Therefore, in the cases the malware uses a different benign code path if it identifies that it's being run in a controlled environment. Advanced malware analysis. Okay, so advanced analysis or malware analysis techniques are used to analyze malware that evades basic static and dynamic analysis. Disassemblers and debuggers are used to perform advanced malware analysis. Disassemblers convert the malware's code from binary to assembly so that an analyst can look at the instructions of the malware statically. Debuggers attach to a program and allow the analyst to monitor the instructions and malware while it is running. A debugger allows the analyst to stop and run the malware at different points to identify interesting pieces of information while also providing an overview of the memory and CPU of the system. We will not cover advanced malware analysis in this room. However, it will be covered in a future module targeting malware analysis. Sweet. So a lot of good information there. And we've got some questions here. So let's see what they're talking about. Which technique is used for analyzing malware without executing it? Well, that's going to be the static analysis, right? Which technique is used for analyzing malware by executing it and observing its behavior in a controlled environment? Well, that's going to be the dynamic analysis. Okay. Task number 4, we're going to talk about basic static analysis. When analyzing a new piece of malware, the first step is usually performing basic static analysis. Basic static analysis can be considered as sizing up the malware, trying to find its properties. Before diving deep into analysis, it provides us with an overview of what we are dealing with. Sometimes it might give us some crucial information, such as the Windows API calls the malware is making or whether it's packed or not. However, other times it might only give us information to help us size the malware up and give us an idea of the effort required to analyze it. So without further ado, let's see some of the techniques we can use to perform basic static analysis. Nice, okay. Caution. Although static analysis is performed without running the malware, it is highly recommended that you perform malware analysis in an isolated virtual machine. You can create a clean snapshot of your virtual machine before performing any malware analysis and revert it to start from a clean state again after every analysis. Don't perform malware analysis on a live machine that is not purpose-built for malware analysis. For this room, we will be using the attached Remnux VM. Remnux stands for Reverse Engineering Malware Linux. And it says, is a Linux distribution purpose-built for malware analysis. It has many tools required for malware analysis that are already installed on its suite. Accessing the attached VM. For the following steps, we'll use the attached VM, start the machine by clicking the Start green button below. And I've already started it, as you can see here. The machine will start in split view. Alternatively, you can access the machine using following credentials. So if you want to, I guess, SSH into that, you can use these creds here. Okay, so it's good to know there. And let's just go to split screen real quick to see how it looks, because we'll probably need it for this next section as we're talking through here. Okay, examining file type. Though the file type of the malware is often visible in the file extension and is obvious, sometimes malware authors try to trick users by using misleading file extensions. In such scenarios, it is helpful to know how to find the actual file type of a file without depending on file extensions. In Linux, we can find the file type of a file using the file command. To understand what the file command does, we can read its man page or use the -- help option. So we get man file or file -- help. Because we will find out that it is a sample or a simple command to use. We can use the following command to find the file type of the file. So file and then the name of the file. So file WannaCry and it says that it's a PE32 executable, yada yada yada. Okay, and we have the samples folder here, looks like. So let's open this up real quick. And I'm just going to right click in here and open up a terminal. There we go. All right, then let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Okay, sweet. Let's do this, and then we'll do a ls on there so we can see our files there. And they probably want us to just run file against WannaCry here. Okay, there we go. There's a folder named samples on the desktop, and the attached VM. We will be using the samples present in that folder for analysis. The above terminal shows the file command being run on the WannaCry sample. The output shows PE32 executable file with a graphical user interface, which was compiled for a system that runs Microsoft Windows with an Intel 8386 base processor. The Intel 8386 processor was one of the first 32-bit processors ever, and the instruction set designed for the 8386 is still used for 32-bit Intel processors, which is why you only see x86 processors in code. This means that the 8386 and the output above tells us that this application was designed for 32-bit Intel processors. Okay, good to know there. Examining strings. Another really important command that provides us with useful information about a file is the strings command. This command lists the strings present in the file. To understand what the string command does, you can read its man page. We can use -- help. So similar to what we already just saw. So if you want to do that, you can do man strings. Okay, it'll pull that up there. Hit Q to quit. Or you can just do strings -- help, like so. There we go there. So let's go ahead and clear this out again. And let's just run strings against it while we read on. Okay. And we already did the strings and then file name. Looking at strings in a file can often give clues related to the behavior of the malware. For example, if we see the URL download to file in the output of the strings, we will know that the malware is doing something with the URL download Windows API. Most likely it is downloading a file from the internet and saving it on the disk. Similarly, strings might also provide contextual information that helps us later during malware analysis. So it's good to know there. And you could probably just, um, you could probably just pipe stuff into things, right? So if you want to run strings and then you can do grep, all right? So and then you can grep on something like that. URL download, I guess. Download to file. Okay. Okay, we didn't get anything back for that. So anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here. All right, so yeah, this is just the output of strings. Here we can see strings command being running as WannaCry sample. We will see that the output starts with the DOS stub, which is the text that says this program cannot be run in DOS mode. Some values don't make much sense and look like garbage, but you also see useful output. For example, you can see above that some strings look like Windows APIs. For example, close handle, get exit, code process, terminate process, and so on. Similarly, we can see text that says inflate 1.1, etc., etc. A quick search shows that this is part of the zlib data compression library. This tells us the sample might be using this library. Tip: sometimes the output of the strings command is too big to be shown completely on the terminal. We can redirect it, write it to file, and read it using Vim or any other tool. The terminal below shows the output being redirected to a file named str. So strings and then str. So you can put in like a text file and then just see the output there. Okay. But this is what the APIs and stuff they were talking about. All right. Alternatively, you can use the more or less command to parse the output in a more visible manner. So you can pipe it into more or less, whatever. Or you can just do more on it, I'm sure. So let's do more. And then strings. Okay. See how it's just going. You can hit enter on it too. And then if you want to get out of it, just hit Q and you're done. Or you can just pipe it like they have over there. See, type it more. Same thing with less. You can also just run less against it and it'll do the same thing. Okay, so we are done with that. Clear this out. And let's move on. Okay, let's see here. We can use the space key to scroll down the list of strings here if you are interested. This mouse strings room contains more information about strings, so check that out if you're interested. Calculating hashes. File hashing provides us with a fixed size unique number that identifies a file. A file hash can therefore be considered a unique identifier for a file, similar to social security numbers or national identification numbers used for the citizens of a country. Hashing is an important concept in malware analysis. It can be used as an identifier for specific malware. As we will see later in this task, this identifier can then be shared with other analysts and searched online for information sharing purposes. Please note that a single bit of difference in two files will result in different hashes. So changing the hash of a file is as simple as changing one bit in it. Commonly, MD5 sum, SHA-1 sum, and SHA-256 sum. Since hashes are used for file hashing, we can calculate file hashes by using a simple command in Linux as shown below for the MD5 sum hash. So that tool against that file name and you're getting that MD5 hash. You do the same with SHA-1 and SHA-256. So if we want to do that here, MD5 sum, okay, and then running against WannaCry. Okay, and then you can change it from MD5 sum to the other ones. Okay, and then the last one. There we go. All right, so pretty straightforward there. And it says if you're interested in learning more about hashes, you can check out the malware researching room. AV scans and virus total. Scanning a file using AVs or searching for a hash on virus total can also provide useful information about the classification of malware performed by security researchers. However, when using an online scanner, it's recommended to search for the malware's hash instead of uploading it online to avoid leaking sensitive information. Absolutely correct. That's a lot of times that's going to be standard operating procedures, right? If you work for an organization, you don't want to spill the beans on it, okay? But you do want to go in and search to see if someone has already analyzed it via the hash, okay? Only upload a sample if you are sure of what you're doing. Let's see what it says about the sample for which we calculated the hash above. We can search for the MD5 sum. We calculated for WannaCry sample on the virus total page. So if you want to search on that, it will look like this. Just basically plug it in there. Virus total has handy features. It provides scans from 60 plus AV antivirus vendors and each AV vendor's classification of the sample. So that's what it looks like. Details list, the history of the sample, the first submission, last submission, and metadata of the sample. So all kinds of information there. Okay. And sometimes it also provides information about the behavior of a sample and its relations as seen in different environments online. Good to know there. Some other stuff here. We can also find comments about the sample in the community or by the community on VirusTotal, which can sometimes provide additional context about the sample. So if we read comments there, someone's got links to different reports, different sandboxes that ran it, like Joe Security, Joe Sandbox, whatever they want to call it these days. Perhaps it is very clear from the above screenshots that we are looking at a sample of WannaCry ransomware. So let's just grab this 256 one and plug it into, I guess, VirusTotal. I already have it pulled up here. Okay, so we're going to paste it in there. Enter. There we go. Last analysis date 2 days ago. There's all the detections from the different AVs, details page here. Go back. Okay, not sure what happened there. Go to the details page, and it's frozen. All right, there we go. So all kinds of information, and if you log in, you can probably do more things with it, but I'm not logged in, as you can see. But a lot of information there that you can probably use. Okay, let's take a look at these questions. In attached VM, there's a sample named Redline in the desktop samples directory. What is the MD5 of the sample? So let's go ahead and clear this out. ls, and there's Redline there, and we need to do the MD5, so MD5 sum, and then the name of the file. There we go. Okay, let's see if it lets me grab it. Sweet. What is the creation time of this sample? Okay, this one we'll probably have to do the file against it or something. So let's see what that says. No, it wasn't file, it was something else. That strings. So let's do strings against it. And there's a lot of information. Okay, so probably have to go through and dig through this and see what we can find out here.
Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. All right, to get this, what is the creation time for the sample? Just basically grab one of the hashes that you used. So the SHA-5, SHA-1, SHA-256, or whatever. You're gonna go to VirusTotal, plug it in. Inside of VirusTotal, go to Detect or Details tab here. Scroll down, you'll see creation time under History, and just grab that, plug it in, and you're done. Task number 5, the PE file header. And here's what that looks like, apparently. Okay, very pretty colors there. The PE file header contains the metadata about a portable executable file. This data can help us find a lot of helpful information. To help us in our analysis, we will go into detail about the PE header and the information it contains in the upcoming malware analysis module for the advanced path. However, some of the vital information found in the PE header is explained below. So imports and exports. A PE file seldom contains all the code that needs to run on a system on its own. Most of the time, it reuses code provided by the operating system. This is done to use less space and leverage the framework the operating system has laid to perform the task instead of reinventing the wheel. Imports are such functions that the PE file imports from outside to perform different tasks. For example, if a developer wants to query a Windows registry value, they will import the reg query value function provided by Microsoft instead of writing the code themselves. It is understood that this function will be present on any Windows machine on which the developer's code is going to run, so it does not need to be included in the PE file itself. Similarly, any PE file export functions are exposed to other binaries that can use that function instead of implementing it themselves. Exports are generally associated with dynamically linked libraries or DLL files, and it is not typical for a non-DLLP to have a lot of exports. Since most PE files use the Windows API to perform the bulk of their jobs, a PE file imports provide us with crucial information on what the PE file will do.
It becomes evident that a P file that imports the internet open function will communicate with the internet. A URL download to file function shows that a P file will download something from the internet, and so on. Names of Windows APIs are generally intuitive and self-explanatory. However, we can always consult Microsoft documentation to verify the purpose of particular Windows function. Okay, so we're going to talk about sections next. Another useful piece of information available in the P file header is the information about sections in the P file. A P file is divided into different sections which have different purposes, although these sections in a P file depend on the compiler or packer used to compile or pack the binary. The following are the most commonly seen sections in a P file. So you have .text. This section generally contains the CPU instructions executed when the P file is run. This section is marked as executable. .data. This section contains the global variables and other global data used by the P file. .rsrc. This section contains resources that are used by the P file, such as images, icons, etc. Analyze the P header using the pcheck utility. We can use the pcheck utility present in the Remnex VM attached with this room to check the P header. So pcheck, then WannaCry. And let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and clear this out. Okay, so this is what that looks like there. A lot of information coming back. All right, so we should have similar output as the screen there. It says here we can see information that the pcheck has extracted from the P header of the WannaCry sample. We can see the sample has 4 sections: .data, .rdata, .text, .rdata, .data, and .rsrc in their respective entropy. Similarly, it has also shown us the different hashes of the sample. Pcheck also shows us the functions that a P file imports. In the above terminal, we can see the image import descriptor, which shows the functions in it, imports from the add VAPI 32 .dll linked library. We will see similar descriptors for all the other linked libraries whose functions are imported by the sample. And we can see all that information here, the entropy right there. Okay. Image import descriptor, a lot of stuff there. Okay. And let's see, we can see that pcheck shows us a lot more information than what we discussed in this task. However, discussing all the information is out of scope of the room. We will dive into further details in the upcoming malware analysis module. We will take what we are looking for from the information we see, namely the section information and imports of our samples. Sweet. So we got some questions again that need to be answered here. Okay, so I guess let's take a look at them. In the task VM, there's a sample called redline in the directory desktop samples. What is the entropy of the .text section of this sample here? Okay, so let's go ahead and clear all this out, and then we'll run pcheck against it, do redline, and we can just pipe it into less, I guess. Okay. All right, so there's the .text entropy right there, and I guess we're going to grab this number right there, the 6.543, and you can see the rest there. So let's plug that in. The sample name redline has 5 sections: .text, .rdata, .data, and .rsrc are 4 of them. What is the name of the 5th section? Okay. Well, I have to do some more digging to try to determine where this one is. So let's go ahead and see. And also, I'll probably look for the rest of these answers as well. So let's go ahead and fast forward. Okay, the 5th section here is going to be this in data, as we can see right there. And this next one here, from which DLL file does the sample named redline import the reg open key xw function? Now you can go through here and manually search for it that way. Okay, as you can see, there's a lot of information to sift through. Or what you can do is just grep on it like I did. So I grabbed on that particular item here, or keyword, enter, and there we go. This first portion of it here is what we need. The one right there, all the way to DLL. All right, next one says check out the GUI-based P-tree tool and see what information it shows. You can use the following command for using the P-tree to analyze the redline file. The P-tree tool might take some time to initiate. Okay, well, let's just go ahead and check it out real quick here. And let's just paste, oops, Control C. Okay, let's try this again. All right, so while that's loading, let's continue on to task number 6, basic dynamic analysis. Well, basic static analysis provides us with useful information about a file. We often need to perform additional analysis to move further in our analysis procedure. One quick and dirty way to find more clues about a malware's behavior is by performing basic dynamic analysis. Many of the properties of a malware sample can be hidden when it's not running. However, when performing dynamic analysis, we can see or we can lay these properties bare and learn about the behavior of a malware sample. Caution: dynamic analysis requires running live malware samples, which can be destructive. It is highly recommended that you perform malware analysis on an isolated virtual machine. You can create a clean snapshot of your virtual machine before performing any malware analysis and revert it to start from a clean state again after every analysis. Don't perform malware analysis on a live machine that is not purpose built for malware analysis. Introduction to sandboxes. Sandbox is a term borrowed from the military. A sandbox is a box of sand, as the name suggests, modeling the terrain where an operation has to take place, in which a military team dry runs their scenarios to identify possible outcomes. In malware analysis, a sandbox is an isolated environment, mimicking the actual target environment of a malware, where an analyst runs a sample to learn more about it. Malware analysis sandboxes heavily rely on virtual machines, which can take snapshots and revert to a clean state when required. Construction of a sandbox. For malware analysis using sandboxes, the following considerations make the malware analysis effective. Virtual machine mimicking the actual target environment of the malware sample, ability to take snapshots and revert to a clean state, OS monitoring software such as Procmon, Proc Explorer, Redshot, etc., network monitoring software such as Wireshark, TCP dump, etc., control of the network through a dummy DNS server and web server, a mechanism to move analysis logs and malware samples in and out of the virtual machine without compromising the host. Be careful with this one. If you have a shared directory with your malware analysis VM that remains accessible when running malware, you might risk malware affecting all files in a shared directory. Open source sandboxes. Though it is good to understand what a good sandbox is made of, building a sandbox from scratch is not always necessary. One can always set up open source sandboxes. These sandboxes provide framework for performing basic dynamic analysis and also customizable to a significant extent to help those with a more adventurous mindset. So you have Cuckoo Sandbox, the most widely known sandbox in the malware analysis community. It was developed as part of a Google Summer of Code project in 2010. It's an open source project that you will often see deployed in SOC environments and with enthusiast home labs. Advantages of Cuckoo Sandbox include huge community support, easy to understand documentation, and lots of customizations. You can deploy it on your network and let the community signatures guide you into identifying which files are malicious and which are benign because of the vast corpus of community signatures that comes with it. Cuckoo Sandbox has been archived and an update is pending. It also doesn't support Python 3, making it obsolete right now. However, all is not lost because we have alternatives. We have Cape Sandbox, Cape with a C. Cape Sandbox is a little more advanced version of Cuckoo's Sandbox. It supports debugging and memory dumping to support the unpacking of packed malware. We'll learn more about packing and unpacking in the Advanced Malware Analysis module. Though beginners can use this sandbox, advanced knowledge is required to fully use it. A community version of the sandbox is available online and can be used to test run in it can be used to test run it before installation. Cape Sandbox is far actively so far actively developed and supports Python 3. So there you go there. Online sandboxes. Setting up and maintaining a sandbox can be a time-consuming task. Keeping that in view, uh, online sandboxes can be of great help. Some of the most commonly used sandboxes or online sandboxes are as follows. Online Cuckoo Sandbox, you got any.run, integer, and hybrid analysis. I've used any run hybrid analysis. I don't know. I'm not sure if I used Cuckoo before. I sure haven't used this integer one. Though online sandboxes provide a useful utility, it is best not to submit a sample online unless you are sure of what you're doing. A better approach is to see for or search for the sample's hash on the service you are using to see if someone has already submitted it. Let's look at hybrid analysis to see what interesting analysis it provides for example. Same thing with like VirusTotal. All right, you can use the hash to see if someone's already done something or ran it through the ringer. Analyzing samples using hybrid analysis on its homepage, we are greeted with the following screen. So hybrid analysis homepage, enter your information there, hit that search box there. As mentioned, we will not be submitting a sample. Instead, we will search for the hash of our sample. Therefore, we'll search for the MD5 sum of the WannaCry malware from the attached VM. We will see it's already been submitted multiple times, and we can choose from the submitted results, just kind of similar to VirusTotal. Okay, let's open one of the submitted ones on Windows 7, 64 bits. Amongst these, to get some more details on those. Okay, we see above the interface. When we click on the sample, we see a navigation pane on the right that highlights the different parts of the report. We can also see that the verdict is malicious with a score of 100 and AV detection 95%. Below that, we see the overview of the sample's behavior. Below that, we will see the mapping of the MITRE attack techniques. We will see the following mapping when we click view all details. All right. It says below that, we will see some indicators, context information, and some static analysis information for the sample. The dynamic analysis part comes below that here. This part provides us with a lot of information about the behavior of the sample. When it was run in a sandbox, we can click each process to find more detail about it. In the above screenshot, the executions of cmd.exe are of particular interest. We can see that the sample is running script files and deleting backups and volume shadow copies, something often done by ransomware operators to stop the victim from restoring the files from the sources. Below the section, we will see the network analysis of the sample. Extracted strings and attached files are also available in the report. These can provide information about batch scripts we saw in the process above. So a lot of good information there that you could use. There are also comments from the community at the very end. As we might have seen using discussed techniques, we can find many pieces of the puzzle that a malware sample is. However, in some cases, these techniques can prove insufficient to make a decision. Let's move to the next task to determine what scenarios can make it challenging to analyze a malware. Okay, so we have questions and answer time. So be sure to answer these questions, pause the video. Okay, if you get stuck or if you're already done, come back to the video and then we will proceed forward. All right, let's take a look at these questions. Check the hash of the sample red line on hybrid analysis and check out the hybrid analysis report in the process tree, which is the first process launched when the sample is launched. So go ahead and grab the hash, one of the hashes of the red line. As you can see here in P tree, I have them listed here, MD5, SHA-1, SHA-256. Okay, you can also do it via the command line. But anyway, so grab one of those, go over to hybrid analysis, go to report search, paste it into the search bar there, hit search, and I use this first one here. After you click on the first one, it'll show you the information of that report. On the right panel here, you can go down to the hybrid analysis section here, okay? And then you can see it says analyze 17 processes. So here's the first one here, redline.exe. Here's the second one, setup underscore installer.exe. So that's what it runs. Next, okay? So that's going to be answered there, setup installer.exe. The next one says In the process tree, there are two Windows utilities utilized by the malware to perform its activities. What are the names of the two utilities? Well, that's going to be CMD and PowerShell, as we can see here. So right after it launches the setup install, it launches CMD, which does some funky stuff, right, to PowerShell. And then the PowerShell does something as well, as we can see there. Okay, but yeah, feel free to look around on hybrid analysis if you haven't used it before. Get your hands a little bit dirty with looking around and checking out the information that it provides on malware samples that you submit to it, hashes and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and continue on to task number 7, anti-analysis techniques. While the security researchers are devising techniques and tools to analyze malware, the malware authors are working on rendering these tools and techniques ineffective. We found a great deal of information in the previous task about the malware we analyzed. However, there are ways malware authors can make our life difficult. Below are some of the techniques used by malware authors to do the same: packing and obfuscation. Malware authors often use packing and obfuscation to make an analyst's life difficult. A packer obfuscates, compresses, or encrypts the contents of malware. These techniques make it difficult to analyze malware statically. Specifically, a packed malware will not show important information when running a string search against it. For example, let's run string against the file named ZMS yada 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 in the samples folder attached to the VM. So let's go ahead and do that. Minimize this and then strings and then this random name. Okay. And we got similar output. Since we noticed that the sample contains mainly garbage strings that don't provide much value to us, let's run a p-check on the sample to see what else we get. Okay, yeah, it's like a bunch of gobbledygook. So let's go ahead and clear this out, and we'll run a p-check against it, or pe-check, right? All right, there we go. Suspicious strings stuff right there. As suspected, we see that executable has characteristics typically of a packed executable as p-check. As per pcheck, we will notice that there is no .text section in the sample, and other scenarios have execute permissions, or sorry, other sections have execute permissions, which shows that these sections contain executable instructions or will be populated with executable instructions during execution. We will also see that the sample does not have many imports that might show us its functionality, as we saw with the previous sample. So if you guys want to go and review, you would see something similar to what they see over here, right? With stuff missing that looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on. For analysis of packed executables, the first step is generally to unpack the sample. This is an advanced topic that will be covered in the upcoming rooms. Sandbox invasion. As we have seen previously, we can always run a sample in a sandbox to analyze it. In many cases, that might help us analyze samples that evade our basic static analysis techniques. However, malware authors have some tricks up their sleeves that hamper that effort. Some of these techniques are as follows. So long sleep calls. Malware authors know that sandboxes run for a limited time. Therefore, they program the malware to not perform any activity for a long time after execution. This is often accomplished through long sleep calls. The purpose of this technique is to time out the sandbox. User activity detection. Some malware samples will wait for user activity before performing malicious activity. The premise of this technique is that there will be no user in a sandbox. Therefore, there will be no mouse movement or typing on the keyboard. Advanced malware also detects patterns in mouse movements that are often used in automated sandboxes. This technique is designed to bypass automated sandbox detection. Footprinting user activity. Some malware checks for user files or activities such as whether there are many files in the MS Office history or internet browsing history. If no or little activity is found, the malware will consider the machine as a sandbox and quit. Detected VMs. Sandboxes run on virtual machines. Virtual machines leave artifacts that can be identified by malware. For example, some drivers installed in VMs being run on VMware or VirtualBox give away the fact that the machine is a VM. Malware authors often associate VMs with sandboxes and would terminate the VM if a VM or terminate the malware if VM is detected. The above list is not exhaustive, but it gives us an idea of what to expect when analyzing malware. In a future module dedicated to malware analysis, we will discuss these techniques and ways to detect malware that employs them. Okay. So they have a lot of tricks up their sleeve to try to annoy us, right? Or try to remain as undetected as possible, give us a headache, right? So to delay our countermeasures against their um, malware. Okay, so question time. Which of the techniques discussed above is used to bypass static analysis? And for that one, um, let's go back up here. We're talking about static analysis, and I believe that was packing to bypass that. Which technique discussed above is used to time out a sandbox? Well, we know that's going to be that long sleep calls, right? As we just read about here. Okay, so we're done with that. Conclusion, task number 8. That was a primer on malware analysis. However, this was just scratching the surface. So far, we learned static and dynamic analysis of malware, finding strings, calculating hashes, and running AV scans on malware, introduction to PE header, and how to use information from it to analyze or to form to information from it in malware analysis, sandboxing and different online sandboxes that we can use, and how malware evades the techniques we just discussed. We will be working on a malware analysis module covering ways to counter the previously discussed anti-analysis techniques. Head over to our social channels for further discussion. So we are done. Awesome. Hopefully y'all were able to make it through the video. And if you found this video of value and you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so every time I post to the channel. As always, thank you for your continued support. Have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, this is the end of the video, just a little bonus. This course is called the Practical Malware Analysis and Triage course by TCM Security. Arm yourself with knowledge and bring the fight to the bad guys. Learn the state of the art of malware analysis and reverse engineering. Course overview. Here you see that this is the PMAT course for short, but basically goes over a lot of malware analysis information. I took this course years ago. It was great. I did a review video on that as well. I'll have the link in the description to this particular course if you want to take it. Now you do have to sign up for a subscription for TCM Security, but if you're interested in that course, they do have 5+ hours of it, okay, that you can take for free on YouTube. Husky Hacks is the instructor of this course. So I'll have the links in the description as usual. And then you can also take a look at my review video of the course if you're hesitant on whether or not you should take the course or not. Be sure to leave it a like as well. Anyway, see you later, and thank you for watching. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos that you can see here, over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we're going to TryHackMe, SOC Level 1 Learning Path, Malware Concepts for SOC module, Living Off the Land Attacks. Learn to detect and analyze living off the land attacks using trusted Windows tools. So let's take a look at what we're cooking with here. Task number 1, introduction. Attackers do not always rely on custom malware or malicious executables. They can use trusted system tools already present on the target machine. In this room, users will learn what LOL attacks are, why adversaries choose them, and how defenders can detect such activity through log monitoring and behavioral analysis. The room progresses from foundational knowledge to hands-on detection practice. Learning objectives. Understand what living off the land attacks are, identify legitimate Windows tools that can be abused, recognize attacker techniques that blend into normal system operations, detect LOL behavior using log analysis and SIM alerts, prerequisites, malware classification, introduction to malware analysis, and living off the land. Okay. Click to start learning about living off the land techniques. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Without further delay, let's go ahead and dive into it. Task 2. Common LOL tools and techniques. Threat actors use living off the land techniques because built-in tools are already trusted, widely available, and often allowed by default controls, so malicious activity can't hide among normal operations. These techniques let attackers run code without dropping obvious new binaries, carry out stepwise workflows, and reuse legitimate credentials, all of which reduce noise and slow detection. Using native utilities also makes it easier to persist and move across systems while appearing like routine admin work. Commonly abused tools provide scripting, management, file handling, or scheduling capabilities which match common attacker needs like execution, persistence, reconnaissance, and lateral movement. Examples include PowerShell is used for in-memory scripting, remote downloads, and automation. WMIC or WMI is used to run commands locally or on remote hosts to query system state. CertUtil is used to fetch files and encode or decode payloads. MSHTA is used to run HTA content or inline script delivered by a document or link. Run DLL32 is used to invoke DLL exports or trigger URL handlers. Scheduled tasks are used to run code at logon or on a schedule for persistence. Operators also abuse signed admin utilities from sys internal suite, which is a great set of tools, by the way. For example, psexec for remote execution, and auto runs for persistence, discovery, and manipulation, because those tools blend with legitimate admin workflows. Living off the land methods are not limited to Windows. Similar approaches exist on Unix and Linux, and public collections document common patterns for both platforms. For example, LOL bash for Windows and GTFO bins for Unix. Knowing which tools are most likely to be misused and the typical goals behind those uses helps defenders tune logging, capture full command lines, and process trees and prioritize alerts when normally benign binaries behave in clearly malicious ways. Some measures we can take to reduce the attack surface and improve response include the following: apply layered defense controls to that combine endpoint, network, and identity protections, implement application control policies such as AppLocker or Windows Defender application control to define which scripts and executables are permitted to run, enforce or use the principles of least privilege by ensuring only administrators can access or use system management and utilities, configure network rules and DNS filters to block or redirect connections to domains and IPs known for malicious activity, maintain clear containment playbooks that outline the steps for isolating compromised systems, and revoke exposed credentials. Regularly review and update access permissions, logging coverage, and control lists to adapt to new attack methods. Apply the security best practice and you will probably be in pretty good shape there, but always have a response plan and actively work on it, because eventually prevention may fail and you will need to respond and put out that fire. Alright, so we have a couple of questions here. Which public site lists Unix/Linux native binaries and how they are, or how they can be abused? And this is going to be GTFO bins, as it talked about up here, and the other one was for LOL bash, which was for Windows, right? Next one was which Microsoft toolset includes psexec and auto runs used for admin tasks and often misused by attackers. That's going to be sys internal suite, okay? As we had just learned about it earlier here, sys internal suite. Okay. Also, one thing to note is that there's this website out here called LOLOL.farm, right? So it has like the collection of all these. There's a bunch of them here, but I'll probably have this in the description box if anyone is interested in exploring this here. But let's go back here. Test number 3, real world examples. Living off the land methods are not limited to individual attackers or small operations. Many organized threat groups, both state-sponsored and financially motivated, depend on these techniques to keep a low profile. Using built-in and trusted binaries allows them to operate with fewer alerts from security tools and less chance of being blocked by application control policies. The following examples show how known groups applied these tools in real-world operations between 2022 and 2024. Each example highlights the tool, the purpose of their use, and the advantage gained by the attackers. APT29, Nebelium, PowerShell, and WMI for persistence and execution. APT29 has used fileless techniques that combine PowerShell with WMI, event subscriptions to persist and execute code without dropping obvious binaries on disk. For example, this detailed technical write-up shows how a WMI event subscription was created to run a PowerShell payload stored in WMI. The payload was read, decrypted, and executed from WMI properties, and the approach left minimal on-disk artifacts. For the WMI event subscription technique itself, see MITRE ATT&CK entry for WMI event subscriptions T1546.003, which documents how adversaries can create filters, consumers, and bindings to trigger code execution on specific or specified events. Okay, so that's a lot you can do here, or at least what they did. Black Cat Alpha ransomware, built-in tools for lateral movement. Black Cat or Alpha actors have used built-in tools like PowerShell for scripting and defense, disabling PSExec from the sysinternal suite for remote execution and lateral movement, and CertUtil to fetch or decode payloads on host. Official advisories and national cybersecurity posts, as well as others like this one, describe Alpha activity that includes using PSExec and PowerShell for execution and lateral spread, and using CertUtil style techniques for handling files. Cobalt Strike loaders, Quackbot, and Iced ID. Multiple incidents reports and detection guides note that loaders such as Quackbot and Iced ID and others have been used to stage and deliver Cobalt Strike beacons, and that attackers often use signed Windows binaries like RunDLL32.exe and lmshta.exe to execute or bootstrap those payloads in memory, making execution appear to involve legitimate processes. Detection write-ups and threat reports document RunDLL32 and lmshta being used to run DLL exports or HTA/JavaScript that then launch or drop Cobalt Strike beacons. Threat actors are obviously very crafty when it comes to compromising your systems and things of that nature. Let's go ahead and take a look at these questions here. What MITRE technique ID covers WMI event subscriptions? Which abbreviated name refers to one of the services that C2s like Cobalt Strike use to start or listen for remote services? So go ahead, pause the video and try to answer those questions yourself, and then come back to the video. For this one, you'll probably have to look at the actual link here that was up here, or maybe it's just this right there, but go ahead and try to answer those and come back.
Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking. Enjoy the video.
Let's take a look at these questions. What MITRE technique ID covers WMI event subscriptions? As we had learned about earlier, this is going to be this T1546.003. So if we scroll back up, it's what it talks about here. And you can also click it and go to the actual MITRE attack page if you want to learn more about it here. Okay, and this next one is going to be on this Cobalt Strike page. Okay, which abbreviated name refers to one of the services that C2s like Cobalt Strike use to start or listen for remote services? So that you got to click on this here, Cobalt Strike beacons, and it opens up this new page here. And right here under C2 listeners, you can see it lists different ones here, but the one in question you need is going to be SMB. Okay, so just plug that in as your answer. Task number 4, detecting LOL activity. Task will show examples of living off the land attacks on a Windows host, demonstrate several Common LOL techniques show the exact commands attackers use and follow those actions with an example alert. By building and observing small controlled examples, we'll learn that or what the attacker does and how, as a defender, we can spot it. PowerShell is a scripting engine used for administration and automation in Windows systems. Attackers use PowerShell because it can run scripts directly in memory without creating files, automate many system actions, interact with the network, and bypass some execution policies. Common purposes include downloading payloads, gathering information, running code stealthily, or modifying system settings. So LOL via PowerShell, and there's examples here. What that looks like here, PowerShell. You can see all the options and everything listed here. Exec bypass, and here you go. Here it looks like it's downloading something right there. Invoke web request is also being used there. Okay, in above example, the first command uses IEX, download string pattern, to let an attacker fetch a script from a remote server and run it immediately in memory, avoiding disk artifacts and slowing detection. And the second command, dash encoded command, hides the payload in base 64, so human viewers and simple log filters may miss the intent. Finally, it downloads and executes the file.exe. Okay. An example detection is shown below. And so let's take a look at this here. Index equals window event log, or index equals sysmon, event code 4688, or event code equal 1, or event code equals 4104. Command line has got some of that stuff entered in here, right? PowerShell, IEX, command line, PowerShell encoded command, etc., bypass, download string, starts count, values host, etc. WMIC lets administrators query and manage local or remote Windows systems. It is commonly used by threat actors to execute commands remotely through starting processes. Attackers use WMIC or WMIC to execute commands or create processes remotely, collect system information, or establish persistence without using external binaries. It blends with admin behavior and is often allowed in restricted environments. And here's an example of what that will look like here. WMIC, target host, process, call, create, and then it's doing some PowerShell stuff there. All right. And the first WMIC command, operator targets a remote host and requests that the remote system create a new process. That new process is a PowerShell instance and downloads and executes a remote script. So WMIC acts as a remote launcher. And then in the second WMIC command, the tool queries the remote system for its running processes and command lines, returning structured info useful for reconnaissance across hosts. In the third WMIC command, the local WMIC process call create API is used to spawn nopod.exe on the same machine. The optional hiding flag demonstrates how an attacker might try to make a spawn process less visible. And we can see that here with hidden. An example detection alert can be found below. So once again, referencing sysmon or Windows event log, and then the actual IDs for those events are referenced here. And then they have some command line information in here. So whenever the threat actor starts entering the stuff into the command line, it'll be picked up by this detection here, right? Because they're looking at that specific command line arguments, options, what have you here. Okay, WIC, process, get name, etc. And then some other information right there. So certutil is going to be the next one here. It says certutil is a Microsoft tool used for managing certificates and encoding or decoding data. Certutil is intended for certificate management. It can download files with -URL cache, and it can decode base64 payloads, turning text blobs into binaries. Attackers use it because it is signed by Microsoft and common admin workflows. It can place files without using curl or similar software, and it bypasses some simple blocking rules. Threat actors use certutil to download files, decode base64 encoded payloads, or disguise malicious code as legitimate certificate operations. Its network and file handling capabilities make it a versatile tool for staging payloads or decoding encrypted scripts. So LL via certutil, and we can see examples right here. So certutil, and they're going to get this payload.exe, and they're putting it in this location on the victim machine, it looks like. Okay, and then they're doing some base64 encoding here, decoded.exe, and we can see the rest here, payload.b64. In the first certutil command, the -URL cache -split-f flags instructs certutil to fetch the remote URL and write it to the specified local path. The result is a file dropped on disk that can be executed later. In the second command, certutil reads a base64 text file encoded.b64, decodes it, and writes the resulting binary to decoded.exe. So an attacker can transport the binary as text and then reconstruct it on the host. And a third command, search util encodes an existing binary into base64 text stored in payload.b64. This can be used to obfuscate the payload during staging or transit. Looks like various different ways they can get some malicious tooling onto your machine here, or on the victim's machine here. Here's an example alert, once again referencing sysmon or when event. There's the event codes for those, event IDs for those, and they're looking for this criteria image, searchutil.exe, command line searchutil, command line, they're looking for those specific flags as mentioned up here. Okay. LMS runs HTML application HTA files, which can contain VB script or JavaScript code. Here's examples of that here. So they're using LMS looks like they're trying to get this file here. And there's one in JavaScript right there. And then there's another one here using .hta file. And the first LMS HTA command, LMS HTA, loads the HTA from a remote server and executes the HTA content in the host context. In the second LMS HTA command, LMS HTA is passed an inline JavaScript URI that creates a wscript.shell ActiveX object and uses it to run PowerShell, which then starts a process. This shows how inline script can directly spawn commands without a saved intermediary. So that's pretty interesting there. And we can see the PowerShell right there. And the third LMS HTA command, LMS HTA runs a local HTA file, useful when the attacker delivers the HTA as an attachment or drops it on a shared drive. Again, here's an example of an alert for that. Sysmon here, event codes, event IDs here being referenced, command line, this is what the criteria they're looking for, right? So whenever it matches this, it'll trigger that alert. Run DLL32, execute specific exported functions from DLL files, and there's examples of that here. And the first run DLL32 command, run DLL32 loads the specified DLL and calls it its exported start function, which runs the DLL's code. And the second DLL32 command, run DLL32 invokes URL.dll from file protocol handler and a remote URL, causing the system handler to process the remote content, which can bootstrap further activity. The third run DLL32 command is called a crafted export in a temporary DLL, which may execute embedded loader logic or shellcode from a file placed in a writable location. And here's an example of that alert here. So once again, this is the criteria they're going to be looking for from sysmon, is specified there. Okay. Gist of it, they're going to be looking for, specific like commands, flags, arguments, whatever that threat actors tend to use whenever they're trying to abuse these tools to compromise your environment. Schedule tasks. Task scheduler is a built-in Windows automation. It lets administrators run programs or scripts at specified times or events such as log on or on a repeating schedule. Tasks have a name, a trigger, when to run, an action, what to run, and an optional run as account and conditions. Because it is a standard admin facility, tasks show up in normal system logs and are often allowed by policy, making it a valuable mechanism for both legitimate ops and attacker persistence. Attackers create or modify tasks to achieve persistence across reboots, to run code at user logon or on a regular cadence, or to quickly relaunch payloads after they remove other artifacts. They often pick task names that look benign, for example, Windows Update or maintenance, to avoid drawing attention. Tasks can run PowerShell, assigned tools, or local scripts. And here's examples of that here, right? So let's see what they're talking about. And the first schedule task command, a task named Windows Update, is created to run at logon. The action runs PowerShell, which downloads and executes a remote script on each user logon, providing persistence. And the second schedule task command, a daily task named Daily Job, is scheduled to run a local script at 0005 each day. And this can automate repeated harmful actions like scheduled encryption or staged data collection, right? We can see all that here. And it says, in the third scheduled task command, the attacker triggers the named task to run immediately, invoking its configured action on demand. And then here's an example alert. Once again, they're looking at this criteria that their actors would probably use to build out the alerting for this. The above are some examples of Windows software and utilities that can be used as shown to download, execute files, and encode payloads, but attackers can use a whole variety of software and tools as analysts, we need to be ready to analyze and update with the latest techniques to catch this activity. Awesome. So we have some questions here. Go ahead and pause the video and try to answer the questions yourself, then come back to the video, and then we will proceed. Let's take a look at these questions. Which PowerShell switch is used to download text/strings and execute them? Well, that's going to be IX, as we learned about up here earlier when we were talking about that particular section, PowerShell, and it starts talking about IX stuff here. Okay, this command uses IX, download string pattern to let an attacker fetch a script from a remote server, etc., etc. And the next one, which WMIC keyword triggers the creation of a new process on a remote host? Well, that's going to be create, as we learned about in that particular section up here. Okay, it says it can create process remotely, and then it starts breaking things down here. All right, starts talking about a process called create API, etc., stuff like that. So you can see that it's going to be create there. So let's go ahead and continue on to the next one, which is task number 5, practical. And I've already started up this machine. So just please start the machine, check the example, and then classify the alerts in the following URL to get the flag. Okay, so once you do that, go ahead and enter in that flag. So go ahead, pause the video, and try to answer these yourself. Come back to the video, and we'll step through it together and proceed forward. All right, so let's take a look at this here. Leaving out the land, alert review, label each alert as malicious or not malicious, and click finish analysis. Okay, so this first one says medium to high. Severity is misspelled, but okay. Let's see here. They're using LMS HTA, inline JavaScript. Okay, we learned about that earlier. And hidden command, start process here. All right. And let's see here. That looks malicious to me, so I'm going to mark that as malicious, right? So this looks very similar to what we just learned about earlier in a different task. Here's another one. Looks like they're using PowerShell, but they're encoding it with base 64 here. So let's see what this would be here. Probably malicious. So I'm going to say malicious. Ideally, you probably want to go in and decode whatever base 64 it is, but I mean, I'm not sure if I can think of a legitimate reason why, an admin would use base 64 to encode anything. If you know, put that in the comment section, but I'm going to mark this as malicious here. And the next one, they're going to be using WMIC here. So let's see what this one would be. And looks like they're doing PowerShell again, and they're calling down some stuff here. I'm going to say malicious. So it looks like they're trying to get some kind of malware onto the machine. It's listed as a high as well. All right, so this next one here is scheduled backup here. And this looks like normal activity. So not malicious. Cert util agent.exe. So I wonder what agent.exe is. I would have to investigate what that is here. So let's see what this one could possibly be. I'm trying to think here, because ideally I want to look up what this agent is, but I'm assuming they must mean it could be some type of malicious binary. So I'm going to go with that. And it's a medium high as well, so let's go with that. This cleanup initiated by user. This one here is listed as a low. They're using this here, clean manager.exe. Okay. Ideally I'd be looking for information about that user, right? See if they're supposed to be using stuff like this. Is this normal activity for them, or is this out of the ordinary? Okay. So let's see what this one could possibly be here. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna go with not malicious. We had a few more others down there. Okay, so once again, using PowerShell, hidden exec bypass, downloading this here. This looks like it's malicious to me. Run DLL, thm loader.dll, run. So this looks kind of weird as well. Okay, so this looks malicious to me. Let's see, notepad, not malicious here. And this one, administer execute a cmd.dir in the temp directory. That sounds malicious to me. Okay, I think we are done with this one here. All right. I'm not sure. Administer execute a cmd. Maybe this one isn't malicious. Let's change this back to not malicious here. That's okay. That's all it says. I mean, all right, let's see what we get. Okay, we got it. We got the flag, so I guess we got everything correct. Okay, oh, that was interesting. Some of these were kind of tricky a little bit because I would have to get additional context from these. Going to be one of the most important things. Does the behavior fit the account's role? Does it fit the user's job role? Things like that. So if it's like a service account, should the service account be doing this? Should the service account be accessing these resources? So you got to think about that. So you would definitely need probably some additional context than just things like this, right? But this is still some good information to what to look for in case this is seen in your environment. All right, so let's go ahead and plug this in. All right, task number 6, wrapping up. In this room, we examine how attackers repurpose trusted Windows utilities to carry out malicious activity without introducing new binaries. By testing and analyzing each command safely, we observed how legitimate administrative tools such as PowerShell, WMIC, CertUtil, MSHTA, RunDLL32, and schedule tasks can be abused for execution, persistence, lateral movement, or evasion. Through these exercises, we developed a clear view of how to recognize, detect, and respond when normal system processes are used with malicious intent. We learn to identify the built-in Windows tools most often abused in living off the land attacks, understand how PowerShell enables fileless in-memory and automated execution, observe how WMIC supports remote process creation and system reconnaissance, recognize the way CertUtil downloads, encodes, or decodes malicious payloads, detect MSHTA and RunDLL32 being used to run scripts or DLL-based payloads, spot persistence mechanisms are created or triggered through scheduled task, interpret process command lines and SIM detections to separate admin from attacker behavior, apply defensive techniques such as enhanced logging, behavioral detection, and execution control to limit LOL activity. Okay, and once again, you can go ahead and just reference these particular alerts here. Okay, but let's go ahead and wrap up this video. Hopefully you stayed to the end and you learned something. And I appreciate everyone's support, especially if you're watching the videos all the way through and leaving comments in the comment section. If you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. As always, happy hacking, happy defending, and stay safe in those cyber trenches. I'll see you later. Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking, enjoy the video. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec, back with another video for you guys. Today's video, we are in TryHackMe, SOC Level 1 Learning Path, Malware Concepts for SOC module. This is the Shadow Trace room. Analyze a suspicious file, uncover hidden clues, and trace the source of the infection. All right, so this is a challenge room, as we can see here, capture the flag type of stuff. It looks like task number 1 is going to talk about the scenario. It's the middle of the night shift. You're the only analyst in the SOC when a manager calls and urgently a suspicious file was found in a user's machine and needs immediate review. You open the file and start digging. Something doesn't look normal for a company updater, and at the same time, the EDR throws a couple of alerts. Your task: analyze the file, collect anything to identify it, gather any potential IOCs, correlate and analyze the alerts for potential malicious behavior. It's up to you to piece together what's happening before it spreads further. Learning objectives: extract IOCs from suspicious binaries, correlate alerts with malicious activity, perform basic SOC triage actions. Prerequisites: introduction to malware analysis, malware introductory, malware classification. So check out my channel on videos related to these particular rooms, or go and do the rooms yourself, which is even better. So I'm assuming we're going to be using the information from these rooms here, and probably the tools or techniques or whatever to find the solutions. Click here to start the challenge. Okay. Let's just take a brief look at these other ones real quick. So we got task number 2 here, file analysis. It looks like I got to start up a VM stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit that. And then we got another thing down here. Okay. Anyway, so if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I upload to the channel. Task 2, file analysis. Analyze the binary located at C users D for user desktop windows-update.exe and the attached machine. Answer the questions below. Start the lab by clicking the start machine button. It may take around 2 minutes to load properly. The VM will be accessible on the right side of the split screen. You can find several tools installed in the machine that can help you with any kind of analysis under C users D for user, D for tools. Okay, and we have several questions here that need to be answered. And then we'll proceed to task number 3 after we get done with that. So the machine is still starting up, as you can see there. But go ahead and try to answer those questions yourself, then come back to the video, and then we will step through it together. All right, so let's take a look here, see if we can stumble our way through this challenge room. As you can see, I'm in the correct directory, D for tools, and there's a lot of different ones we could look at here. I'm assuming we're going to be looking at this binary here, located on the desktop. Let's see what's in malware analysis. Okay, so they got floss in here. Maybe we'll end up using that at some point. Let's go back here. But let's go to PE Studio and let's fire this bad boy up and see what we're cooking with. What is the architecture of the binary file? Windows-update.exe. What is the hash SHA-256 of the file? Okay, so we should be able to get that with this, I believe. It's been a while since I've messed with this particular tool, but that's just how it goes sometimes. If you're not using these tools on a frequent basis, well, you just have to adjust as needed and figure it out, right? That's part of the job, figuring it out. But there's a SHA-256, it looks like here, so we're going to go ahead and grab this. Let's see if it lets me. Looks like it's still loading up some stuff here. And what happened? Let's see what this is. Okay, click no. I'm not sure what happened. It just closed out on me. So let's try this again. And let's see if we can just drag this over. There we go. Okay, now let's try this again and see if we can actually grab it. So there's a SHA-256. Let's see if I could just right click it and get it. Copy value and plug it in. Got that. So we need to get the architecture of this. So I need to figure out where that particular section is inside of here. It's probably right in front of my face somewhere. Let's see here. File type, executable. Maybe it's the 64-bit. I wonder if that's what they're looking for here. 64-bit here. So let's try that as our answer. That sounds right to me. So 64 bit. Okay, sweet. So now we need to find some type of URL inside of here. So let's see if we can stumble around indicators, maybe. Let's see what's in. Oh, there's something here: string URL pattern, and there's IP address as well. So you get all kinds of information inside of this particular tool, PE Studio. So very useful if you're doing like malware analysis, things of that nature. So we're going to go right click that here, and we're going to copy indicator, I guess, and see if we can plug that in. Okay, well, that didn't work. So let's just try to copy the line and see if that'll let me put it in there. So I'm gonna open up Notepad real quick, see if I have to edit something before I try to enter this as my answer here. Okay, there's probably an easy way to do this, but this is how I'm gonna do it. So let's paste that in there. There we go. So now we just grab it like this. And ideally, you can do this as well if you're keeping your notes somewhere, right? In case you need to reference them later on. With the URL identified, can you spot a domain that can be used as an indicator of compromise? And we may have already seen that somewhere inside of there, right? So let's go ahead and try to find that particular area. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and jump around and see if we can find that in here. So looking for a domain, it said. All right. Um, let's see. I wonder if you have to actually. Well, actually, it says it right there. I mean, tryhackme.com. So that's what's got to be. Let's do that. Okay. Really, that's not it. Try hack me. Okay, maybe they're just looking for this part. No. Okay, so, huh. I wonder if we got to do something else inside of here to get this particular one. So, let's see here. I wonder if we have to actually visit this or something. Let me do some digging and see what I can find out.
Hey everybody, this is WireDogSec. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Once you hit the notification bell, be sure to set to all notifications so you know every time I post to the channel, upload a video, all that good stuff. Let's continue to grow our glorious community here. We are in the cyber trenches. We're not just reporting on it. Be sure to check out my channel as well. I have tons of videos. You can see here over 300 videos ready for you to check out and learn something from. Be sure to review my posts. I'm frequently posting new things to my channel here, including jobs and everything related to that. Also, I have tons of playlists here that you can review, make it more convenient for you. Anyway, happy defending, happy hacking. Enjoy the video.
Okay, so for this one, you can use strings and then run strings against Windows-update.exe, which is the malware or the file in question. Pipe that into find string, and then inside of double quotes here, try hat me. Okay, so we're gonna use try hat me because that's where the domain appears to be, right? Run that, and then it'll give you some interesting stuff here. It looks like some base 64 stuff that you have to probably decode in CyberChef. But this is what we want here, responses.tryhackme.com. So grab that, plug it in as your answer. And the next one says input the decoded flag from the suspicious domain, which is probably going to be this here. So I already have this ready to go inside of CyberChef. As you can see here, and I have from base 64 ready to go. Put that information inside of here in the input section. Output, there's our flag. So I'm going to hit this copy the clipboard command here, or option there, and plug it in as our answer. That one took a little bit of digging. I had to go back and reference some notes and other things. But if you found a different way of doing this, put that in the comment section. But anyway, let's continue on. What library related to socket communication is loaded by the binary? Okay, so I wonder if that's going to be inside of our PE Studio here. So we're looking for something that references socket. So what would that be under inside of here? Maybe libraries or something? No. Let's see. Oh, there's strings right there as well. So I wonder if that was inside of here somewhere, you know. But let's see if we can find this other one real quick. Okay, so let's see here. Imports. So it's got to be in one of these, I'm assuming. Let me go back and check libraries again and see what's in here. Okay, let's expand this. Maybe I'm missing something inside of here. So something that deals with sockets. Oh, okay, so Windows Socket Library. So I wonder if this is it here. Let's go ahead and grab that. Copy name and see if that's our answer there. Okay, sweet, awesome. Okay, so I wonder if that base64 was inside of the strings thing here that you could just go in and search on. If there's an easy way to do this. Control F. No, that doesn't work. Okay, interesting. So I wonder if you could just, I assume it'd probably take a lot longer if you just go through and try to manually review the stuff inside of here, right? But there might be some interesting information that you could pivot off of inside of this particular section, right? Looks like, yeah, failed to connect. There's a bunch of other stuff inside of here. Oh, there we go, right there, right there. Okay, so you can do it two different ways. So you could do it with just the strings tool here, or you could just go to the strings section inside of PE Studio. So all you need for these is just PE Studio, honestly, to find what you're looking for in here. And you can just right click it and copy value probably and just plug that in, or decode this and figure that out. Well, actually, you would still have to find the this section here. So I wonder if that appears in here somewhere in here, which probably does somewhere. I'm assuming as such. But yeah, it looks like P Studio can pretty much solve all, if not all of, or most, if not all of these particular questions here. Okay, so this is inside of the string section inside of PE Studio. It will just take a little bit longer to find it because you can't use the pipe. Okay, so I just ran strings by itself against it, and obviously it's going to pull back every strings in there, right? But anyway, so as we did earlier, as a reference, you can just pipe it into find string. So we're looking for this particular string, right? And then it pulled back that information for that responses. Okay, so this information should be in there. This responses, as we can see right there. Okay, and probably the other one as well that had all that base64 encoded stuff. Yeah, as we already saw. So there we go. Multiple ways to find this one. But let's continue on to task number 3, alerts analysis. So click on the view site button attached to this task to display the static site and split view. Review the alternatives and answer the questions below. Alternatively, if you cannot see all the columns in split view, you can open the static site in the full screen by clicking the link below. So we'll just go ahead and do that here. We'll open up a new tab. And we have some questions here to answer. So let's see if it loaded correctly. Awesome. So once again, go ahead and try to answer those questions yourself. Pause the video, right? And then once you're done, come back to the video and then we'll proceed forward. So this looks similar to one of the other rooms, some of the information we're seeing inside of here. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these questions. Can you identify the malicious URL from the trigger by the process PowerShell.exe? And let's flip over here and let's take a look. So this one's obviously PowerShell.exe. Okay, here's the information here. Looks like it's downloading something from base64, so we know it's using base64, and we'll probably have to grab that and decode it inside of CyberChef. So that's what I am going to do here. And let's go ahead and go to CyberChef. And let's get rid of all this, plug this bad boy in. Okay, there's the URL for this. It's going to this dev and then main.exe. Appears to be in question here. So let's go ahead and see if that's what they are looking for. Nice, okay. Can you identify the malicious URL from the alert triggered by chrome.exe? So obviously that's the next one, chrome.exe. Browser JavaScript execution, okay. All right. So yeah, so this like this PowerShell one looks like it downloaded and executed. So it says suspicious PowerShell execution right there. All right, and it has IEX. All right, so fetch, and there's a bunch of numbers inside of here. Okay, so I'm assuming we probably have to plug that into CyberChef or something like that. That looks kind of interesting there. So I wonder what we need to put what we need to put inside of CyberChef. But let's go ahead and grab it, and then we'll plug it in and see what we could find out real quick. So let's go ahead and grab this. I wonder if we could just use AI for this as well to decode it. Yeah, I might try that here in a second and see. But let's start CyberChef. So obviously this isn't going to be base64 encoded, but let's plug it in. And isn't there like a magic thing in here? Magic? Let's see if that works. Oh, okay. Sweet. There we go. All right. I wonder if that's what they're looking for right there. And it gives you it right there, the recipe from Decimal. All right, so let's plug that in here as our answer. Nice. So if CyberChef was able to get that, then I would expect AI to do the same thing, right? But let's go ahead and grab it and see. I had ChatGPT already pulled up because I was looking at a different thing here. But let's see what this is. Let's say decode this. So let's see what this does. There we go. Nice. Okay, and it gives you some other information about it. Sweet. So I guess you can use AI to help you as well. Okay, so the last one. What's the name of the file saved in the alert triggered by chrome.exe? I mean, okay, so let's see if we can find that here. Was it in that CyberChef thing? It says update.exe on here. I wonder what it could be here. So let's see here. I don't think that's it. Let's go ahead and look at that alert again. Okay, it's not that. Oh, okay, let's see here. Download equals test.test. Okay, so maybe this is what they're looking for here. Let's grab that. href equals. Okay, so let's go with this here. I don't think it's that update.exe. It's just saving the file. Okay, sweet. Nice. Awesome. So there you go. We use the knowledge and tools that we learned about in the other rooms in this particular section, this particular module, and we also utilize ChatGPT to help us as well, and obviously CyberChef. All right, so there you go. You can use AI to assist you when you're doing investigations, as you're going and doing lab work, perhaps when you're going in and just use whatever tools that are at your disposal that you can use to solve the issue, to find a solution to the particular problem, to help you out in your investigation, what have you. But that was an interesting room. Hopefully y'all learned something as we progressed through it. And if you want to help support the channel, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know every time I post to the channel or upload to the channel. I appreciate y'all's support. Thank you. Happy hacking, happy defending. Stay safe in the cyber trenches, and I will see you later.